Welcome back to the place where I talk about weird art. Although this one isn't too weird, it's kind of normal actually. Wonder if that'll be a trend. Maybe I'm normal now. Anyway, I wanted to talk about a question I get asked once in a while and throughout the years of my career as an artist. A lot of people have asked me, "What's wrong with you?" No, I'm kidding. Kidding. I only ask that of myself. No, people have asked me, why do you use leather and not cloth? So I thought I would make a really quick video, just it's a visual of why I choose leather and not another material. So this is the piece I'm currently working on, and this is all ready to be mounted to a backing and painted. And of course, I think I've said this before, but the reason I paint all of the leather is because, it gets these weird discolorations, which sometimes can be quite nice, depending on where they're at. And actually, this one isn't too bad, but overall, I prefer to also inject some color, which also has meaning. And as you can see, this is very smooth, and it also has these really cool organic looking shapes at the bottom. And that's something I've always really enjoyed with leather. And it just flows very nicely and in a way that I like. So I did the exact same piece of clay with this material, which is not actually a cloth, but it is cloth-like. It is paper, but it feels very similar to cloth. And in the past, when I've used cloth, this is the exact same thing that happens. So this kind of paper, and I need to look up what it is called, but this is the paper that's specifically made for use in gravestone rubbing. So it's a little thicker and a little more, I think because it's cloth-like, they make it with those kind of fibers so that it can easily accept a variety of mediums because you're working outside. And I don't know if anybody listening to this has ever done a gravestone rubbing, but you put a piece of paper up against a gravestone and use either charcoal or wax to pick up the image from that. And as you can see, there's not a whole lot of, I got a lot less detail out of this than I did the leather. And also it made my pins rust. So I got little bits of rust discoloration. And I did this in the exact same way. I wetted it down, the whole bit, let it dry. It's got a little bit of, fire or strength to it. I used more than one sheet as well. I used 3 sheets. But it doesn't have that same groovy edge. It doesn't lay as nice. And another thing, when I put my pins into the leather and I hold it in place, there's a little bit of, I got to push a little, there's a little thickness to it, a little give to it. And once I put the pin in, the leather stays exactly where I want it to stay until I take that pin out. With this, the pin went right through and it wasn't letting me move it around, put it in a place, like on the ear here. It just stayed right on top. It didn't let me have that divot, that groove. And that's why I got these. It just doesn't sit right. Like this part right here. It didn't want to lay against the curve of like the leather did. See how this is just curves down? It fits nice and tight onto the clay, whereas this does not. The one interesting thing that I found about this is it is incredibly translucent. I think you can actually see, yeah, you can see my fingers right through this. And I knew that about this material. I've used it before in drawings and paintings and stuff. And that is very interesting. In fact, this material is going to play a part in my next piece of art that I'm actually working on. As I'm letting this dry, I started working on another piece. So I've been filled with lots of ideas lately, which is great. So I don't really think this was a waste of materials because I needed to revisit this cloth-like paper and kind of remember what it was like. And then, of course, that led me into my next project. And part of my process is just to just basically do stuff. And as I'm working, as I don't sketch things out, I just do it. Like I just start slapping the clay around and set things out in a visual way, and that's my process of how I'm going to work things in the final product, I guess, if that makes any sense. I don't sketch, I just do it. So, anyway, that was probably a bit of a muddled mess at the end, but anyway, so that is the answer to the question why I use leather, and to the question of what's wrong with you. We are never going to know.